everyone. Thank you for tuning in to Informed in 5. Today's guest is Kim Sistrunk. She is a Community Liaison Director for Oceans Behavioral Hospital in Tupelo, Mississippi, and today she'll be sharing information about the facility and how they are helping individuals in the community. Thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm really excited to be here and share information with everyone about Oceans Behavioral Hospital. Very excited to have Oceans in Tupelo. I have been a mental health provider as a clinical therapist for about 28 years, and I have worked with all populations from young children to older adults. And so it really has been a long time need for the Tupelo area and those communities that are surrounding Tupelo um, to be able to have these services. And so Oceans Behavioral Hospital began in 2004. They were primarily in Texas and Louisiana, and we have a sister facility in Biloxi that's been there for a couple of years. And so that's definitely, further south of us. And so for us to have this opportunity in North Mississippi is truly wonderful. And so even I've said often that even if I weren't at Oceans and a part of Oceans team, that I would be super excited to have Oceans here. There is such a great need for adolescents. And so I will share that we have actually two inpatient psychiatric units. One of those is a 17-bed adolescent for ages 12 to 17. And then we have a 17-bed for older adults that is 55 and above. And so I kind of interject here that I do refer to it as an older adult. I'm not but a couple of years from that. And so I don't consider that, myself in terms of a senior adult. And I do think that's just respectful of that age range. And so very traditionally I think we became very used to the 65 and above um adult. And so being as that we have 10 more years added into that really helps us to take in other individuals that need services to help things, and help them with things in their lives and kind of get things back on track. And so we are Oceans does have 36 locations within these three states. And I stated Texas, Louisiana, and now Mississippi. We will have an inpatient, I'm sorry, an outpatient that will come in the fall, an intensive outpatient, and that will also provide services to the adolescents, and they will meet after school, and then the older adults will meet in the daytime, and that's just around the corner from us. And so we are located in the Behavioral Health Center building that is part of North Mississippi Medical Center. We even though we work and partner greatly with the medical center system, we are not affiliated with them. Oceans is its separate entity. And so we fully renovated those two units, and they are beautiful, and we're super proud of those. And so our older adult psychiatrist is Dr. Ken Lippincott. He also serves as our medical director, and the psych nurse practitioner that serves alongside Dr. Lippincott is Ben Summerford. And for the adolescent unit, we have Dr. Anthony Jackson, and I know he serves in some other capacities in other places, and so we're super glad to have him as well. Bailey Garrett is the psych nurse practitioner that works alongside him. And so we're fully staffed in that respect. And then we have a physician's assistant who does our medical, and then we contract out for any type of testing needs that we have with Dr. Brian Thomas. So a couple of the beauties of Oceans is that it isn't a requirement for someone to go through the ER, which typically has been the case in many instances for behavioral health centers. And they don't have to be referred by a provider. Now, they may become aware of Oceans by having maybe at one point been in the ER, or that they were with a provider. And sometimes people are apprehensive, when they go and they've taken a loved one, whether that adolescent or that older adult, and they are not sure, maybe it's a first time for somebody and they think, well, I'm not sure. I don't really want them to go into the hospital, or just whatever types of thoughts and feelings that they may have about that, and definitely understand that. Um, but but once they leave, it's oftentimes that later in the evening, the weekend, and things begin to kind of surface again, and that loved one maybe is experiencing some things in the family, is just unsure, and they do reach out. And so the hospital number itself is 662-268-4418, and that actually will take them to a central intake service, and that is the name of the company, is Central Intake. And that company, its primary goal is the admission process. And so once that number is called, that intake admission is initiated at that time. These are clinicians who are trained, and that this is all that they do. And so, in that 24/7 aspect of providing services, so it's after, it's the 24/7, but the 5 after to 8 a.m. and the weekend, this also is that same number. And so they have a kind of like a checklist that they go by. They have protocol from the physicians, and based on what that protocol is outlined, and it's pretty detailed, that they can make a determination on behalf of the physician, um, in order to do admissions. If in the event that they feel like there's something based on information that they've received, that there's some medical concerns and they feel like something warrants being medically cleared, they would then ask them either to go to an ER, or that they would need additional information such as labs, or the most current labs that there have been, maybe based on some medical diagnoses that they have. Um, but we do, even though we have individuals that, we know experience substance issues, we aren't primary substance, but it be, someone has a primary diagnosis of mental health, whether it be depression, anxiety, schizophrenia, bipolar, PTSD, and they do have some substance difficulties alongside that. It's just that for an inpatient psychiatric service, that is something that is part of the protocol. I do have two other community liaisons that serve with me, and they are very seasoned and have been in the marketing arena and services for a long time, and that is Terry Martin and Sandy Harrison. And so between the three of us, we would be contacts, and I can share the information with you to get to others as far as their phone numbers and things like that. So that's a lot about Oceans. I know that's a lot of information, but just to try and hit those high points, I hope that has fully covered everything. And we are just really excited. We have partnered with the medical center and many other entities, and so we have looked to hit not just, the for the older adults, like the nursing home, the personal care homes, assisted living, but also churches, law enforcement, other businesses. There's so many clinics that have popped up, in so many communities with, the nurse practitioners and psych nurse practitioners and family doctors and PAs, and lots of different clinics that have maybe a dual, provider and therapist set up. And so there's just a lot of areas to hit in every town and community. So I'm glad to have the opportunity with Informed in Five to be able to get more information out to more people.
Thank you, Kim, so much for joining me today and sharing this great information. If you would like to learn more about Oceans Behavioral Hospital in Tupelo, Mississippi, you can find them online at www.oceanshealthcare.com.